You know the trick, keep them waiting, right? Didn't work for me. I'd like to start by acknowledging the people of the land, their leaders past, present, and emerging. I'd like to also thank everybody for being here today. Now, please bear with me, as this is not only an august event, but it's an event filled with love, pride, joy, the joy of the students and their parents sitting here looking at me, for teachers, for schools, in fact, for our future. But I want to start by saying something very important. And the first one is thank you. Shukran. Terima kasih. Sheshe. Danka. Gracias. Grazie. Stuti. Shukriya. Did I say that right? Shukriya. Please don't complain if I leave you out. There's 200 nations in the world. Dhanyavad. Gimna. Dhanyabada. Mutashakkir. Tashakkaridrum. Thank you. And that is the tone of what I have here to say, to close off this inaugural and august event. It is to acknowledge the great people sitting before me, the people who've done the work to be here today, the people who have worked behind the scenes to achieve so much, and the people who have made this happen, and of course the people who bless us with your presence, and that is every single one of you. This is the inaugural event for something we truly wished would happen many years ago, and that is the recognition of our future. And our futures are our children in Australia, their teachers, their schools, and the quality thereof. In the first run of this august event, we had 120 nominations across categories from Islamic and non-Islamic schools across the country. We had schools that nominated that we've never heard of, and schools that nominated a lot that we've heard of quite a bit. But there's a long way to go, and we hope in the years to come, this will become the Academy Awards for Muslim schools, where the A-class players and the A-class celebrities want to appear, not because they starred in the best movie that gave the most money when the movies opened, but for being the school that had the most innovative program to help our kids grow. The students who excelled in sport, the young Muslim girls whose self-esteem and confidence was built beyond reasonable doubt, and for the mothers and fathers who come with them to support them throughout their career. That's why we want people to win awards. That's why we invested so heavily in doing such a job like this. And we'll talk about Crescent Group and what we do, but we are not educators, but we want to value educators, for they are the future of everything we seek to achieve. Now, I also have a lot of people here today who I need to say shukran to, thank you to. I promise I won't repeat them all. And I won't torture you in your own language. But I want to acknowledge the people sitting amongst us who have lent their support and their time. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of His Eminence, Dr. Abu Muhammad, the Grand Mufti of Australia, and his wife, Dr. Nahla Al-Ghazawi. Please, a round of applause for them. They are true leaders of our community, both of them. And if you ever sat between them for 5 seconds, you'd know that they are a force for good times two. I'd like to acknowledge the wonderful sister from another mister, the Honourable Dr. Anne Ali, her husband Dave, and Adam, her son. Thank you for coming all the way from Perth. Isn't she an amazing woman who I'm proud to call my friend? And we ain't seen nothing yet. Minister Ali. I'd also like to acknowledge a dear friend of ours, and that is Professor Peter Shergold, AC. Professor Shergold, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Is not only the chair of the Crescent Institute, the chair of NESA, the Chancellor of Western Sydney. And if any of you know about Western Sydney, it is the educator of Muslims in Western Sydney. He is a scholar and a gentleman and a true supporter. And I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. Peter Shergold. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say thank you to Emeritus Professor Di Yerbury, the former Vice-Chancellor of Macquarie University. Dropped the former. She's still the Vice-Chancellor of Macquarie University. She built that place, and I want to thank her for being here today. And she's the chair of Crescent Wealth, Australia's first known Islamic super fund from day one. I want to thank her very much. And I didn't forget your AO Di, but you've got so many accruements, I couldn't go through them. I would like to acknowledge Professor Muhammad Abdullah, the Director of SITE, who not only gave us a round of applause, please, who not only gave us the idea, but sponsored it in with all his might and every part of every capacity he had, and is a true, authentic leader in the Islamic college and education in this country. I want to acknowledge and thank him very much. And I was going to do the 20 thank yous again for each person, but I thought you'd want to go home tonight, and I hope you like me, you know. After this, I'm not sure if I leave you till 11 p.m. I'm not going to get through everybody, but I do want to point out the brilliance and the love in this room. I'd like to acknowledge Islamic Relief. A round of applause for Islamic Relief, please. Islamic Relief are an organisation I have a lot of respect and love for, especially as they're headed by a very good friend of mine, Samir Benagadi, who I've known for many years as not only a scholar, a gentleman, and an Islamic activist, but someone who cares deeply from the bottom of his heart for the community. And it's testament tonight that not only they brought himself, but brought a whole set of people who are part of the leadership of our community, given how much he believes in the moral compass of what we're trying to achieve. And I would really like to thank Islamic Relief and their entire team here tonight. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge TLC and Yasazaki, and I'm going to acknowledge all our supporters and sponsors, and please bear with me. I keep threatening with saying thank you in 20 languages, so I just keep you going, you see. But Yasazaki is not only a scholar and a gentleman, but he's a true supporter of what we're trying to achieve, and many things to come from him and his brilliant organisation. I want to acknowledge tonight the genesis of the idea of why we are standing here tonight, and that's Dr. Syed Farouk. Dr. Syed Farouk is a thinker, is an authentic thinker, and a visionary. And when he first told me about the idea, like most ideas, I say, good, next one, please. How much is it going to cost me? How are we going to do it? And by the way, who's going to do it? But after focusing on it for a long time, changing its name 3 times, doing the ecosystem testing, Dr. Syed Farouk's idea and vision of rewarding our future in a very different way to what I've seen before is now the reason we are standing here, and I'm standing trying to say thank you in 20 different languages. Thank you very much, Dr. Syed Farouk. I would like to also acknowledge several other people, including His Eminence Sheikh Abdus Salam Zaud, a true leader of our community, who has blessed us with his presence. The Sheikh Dr. Hassan Al-Suthi, who has also blessed us with his presence. And I'd like to also acknowledge my new Deputy Managing Director of the Crescent Group, Ms. Miriam Silva AM. Miriam. Now, there's a story behind that, and I'm sorry if I've mentioned, but Rachel Edwards, who's our head of marketing and growth, who organised the entire function, got COVID exactly 7 days ago. And so you can imagine 300 people coming into the room, an inaugural event, every chance that something was going to go wrong, every chance that we're going to miss out somebody who really valued and loved, every chance that we're going to miss an award. And alhamdulillah, Miriam and the team have stepped in and taken over. And I'm sure you'll agree that the result of tonight, the quality of tonight, is testament to the Crescent team. I'd like a round of applause for the Crescent team. But before I get to the Crescent team, I've got a couple more. I'd like to acknowledge the story that Dr. Anne Ali, Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister Anne Ali, told about her grandfather. And her grandfather, who took her mother and put her in a school, which as a result, generations later, as a result of that, creating leaders in Australia. And the reason you all heard the story and were equally as moved by it, is that with us today, we have Miss Kathy, I'm trying to pronounce this correctly, with a name like Yassine, I should, Gapiliad, who is the CEO of the Australian Fathering Project. You would never probably have heard of that organisation. But I sit on Australia Father's Day Council, and we decide each year as a group who is the Father of the Year. And it just reminded me, that story reminded me of, the Islamic story about how important mothers are. And everyone knows the story, then when a man came to the Prophet and asked him, who's the most important person after Allah and me? It's your mother. Again, your mother. Again, your mother. And then who? Your father. But the father was fourth. And a father, fathering properly, is very, very important to the family unit. And in Australia, we have many organisations looking after mothers, looking after their health, looking after it, and there's no problem with that. But the Fathering Project is about helping fathers be better fathers, not to help mothers. Great fathers be better fathers. Bad fathers learning new skills. Absent fathers, or people who had absent fathers, to learn how to father. And I really want to acknowledge Kathy, who's joined us here tonight, but acknowledge Anne's story, because I think we can't let that go without acknowledging the importance of a father helping educating their daughters and their sons. Moving from Anne Ali's grandfather, I want to move to my own father, Ali Yassine, who is here today with us, and my mother. And my mother, Fatma Yassine, who couldn't be more different as a couple, the yin and yang, but who fathered and mothered 8 children, most of which are here tonight. In fact, they're half their room to make it look bigger. But I want to acknowledge my father and mother, and I'll do it in Arabic. Tahayyati wa ashwaki ila Ali Yassine wa Fatima Yassine, for being with us here tonight. I would also like to finally acknowledge some of the team members who made this happen. And my most important team member is my wife, Muna Yassine. I'd like to acknowledge my wife for her putting up with me leaving at 8 o'clock this morning and probably just seeing me here just when she sat next to me. So that should not go acknowledged, and I want to thank her for her support, her love, and her commitment. Moving on to other members of my team, I'd like to thank the Empire crew, who have Claire and her team, who have put together this event as event managers. I'd like to acknowledge my management team, who are here tonight, Sarah, Maz, Hilal, they're all putting up their hand, don't forget me. Usama, Muhammad, Maryam, Hamza, and of course, Abir. Now, Abir in particular, because it's her birthday tonight. And she had a birthday party that she never went to. So I want to thank her very, very much for her commitment and being here with us tonight. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you, sincerely, because the presence of such a group of diverse people from many backgrounds who have come to a Saturday night event in the middle of Olympic Park, you know. Some have flown from Perth even, you know, the other country. They got the visa to come here. Is an enormous achievement. And it's not an enormous achievement of the Crescent Group, it's an enormous achievement of the Australian Muslim community and their educators, of the sponsors, including Islamic Relief, and I'm going to go through the sponsors in detail because I think it would be unfair not to, because they made it happen. So Islamic Relief, AMUST, a fantastic record of superior record for the Muslim community. SITE, which is their official name, headed by Professor Muhammad Abdullah, the Center for Islamic Thought and Education. Brothers in Need and their fantastic work. TLC Disability Services, Gould Studio, and National Zakat Foundation. You're talking about the preeminent caring organisation in this country. I would like a round of violent applause for them. And please forgive me if I have missed somebody, but there are plenty of principals and leaders and schools and organisational thought leaders and thinkers if I have missed you. But I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I'd like to sign off this event. Inshallah, call it a success, but that will only be determined into the future, and look forward to seeing you next year. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.